We're back. Mark, Ricardo, Nick, Andrew, Respect, Facebook crew. Welcome back, everybody. This has been amazing. And for the folks who are really into the more organic side of things, we have Nyoni, who is waving the flag high about utilizing the forages that's available to you, right? Which I believe in. All right, let's give it a few seconds to let everybody jump back on.
Okay.
So you're a big promoter, like organic approach to farming, right?
Repeat that.
I say you're a big promoter of the organic approach to livestock farming.
Yeah, because I've seen how it works, and that's another thing with how they market their meat. When you go to a restaurant and it literally says grass fed steak, like people like seeing that, and the texture and the taste is really different to the point where I'm able to have my steak medium and medium rare. It's because it's really top-notch meat, Where here, we, because of how the meats are, we have to pressure it and boil it and boil it, to get it to that state where we are able to consume it.
Well,
So,
maybe, and also I think here is depends on when they butcher it. There's no
that's the
timing.
thing. So sometimes we might say lamb when it's probably really mutton, as in an adult sheep. And
Yeah.
again, the fiber content increases as the animals get older. So the taste and the value of the meat is going to be different. But one thing, as you asked about the challenges, can I continue?
Yes, continue now. Yeah.
Yeah. As when you ask about the challenges, and we're talking about nutrition and the availability of forages, and I know you're talking about animals who have the facilities to graze, farmers, sorry, who have the facilities to graze their animals. But there are even those like landless farmers and challenges again in the region where farmers don't have land to grow pasture. So they tie them on the
Yes.
roadside, we call it a roadside tethering. And that's basically unfortunately, you're exposing your animals to that heavy metal pollution from the emissions from vehicles. And that in itself is like basically what you put in is what you get out. That in itself is not favorable for animals. That heavy metal pollution from eating grass that is along your highways or along your roadways. But again, that is something we haven't really looked into here, but it can have deleterious effects on your animal's production or productivity. Yeah, feeding that type of grass. And then even in terms of some instances, you do cut and carry, but do you really cut and carry or bring sufficient quantities of a good quality forage to sustain your flock? Right?
And you really shouldn't be
So,
cutting and carrying the grass from the road banks, right?
no. Whether you tie them or you cut and carry from there, I mean, there is a degree of heavy metal pollution on the roadside. Yeah, and heavy metal, like I said, it has deleterious effects to the animal. It could affect their growth rates. So sometimes you find when I'm feeding them so much, how they're not really looking any different or gaining weight as you would think that they should. And it's just basically because of the quality of the forages that you're exposing them to. And again, another challenge we have, as we know, is predial larceny. And again, from tying them out on the roadside, you kind of expose them to that. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So okay, let's talk about the different areas in our region that you think we definitely need some improvement on. You just touched on one, which is like a standard for for bringing the animal to market, whether it's the age or the weight of the
Hmm.
animal when you bring it to market, especially if it's for butchering,
Right.
um, for meat, and also how you feed the animal, the standard of which you feed the animal. What about the structural stuff, the support from the commercial entities? Whether it's market accessibility
Hmm.
or marketing or government support in developing the sector with new genetics or loosening red tape so people can do import, export, or even the feed companies being involved in research and development, all that stuff. Where do you see we go? Where do you see us going to make the biggest?
Well, I feel as you mentioned, perhaps the private sector and the government really having an important role in livestock production. I think it has to start from the farmers themselves. So what I would like to see is a lot more full-time farmers, because in the region we kind of have a lot of farmers that do it part-time, like say in the afternoon, and you just, tend to the animals, or you tend to them quickly in the morning before you go to work. So I think there's a need for more full-time farmers, because agriculture or livestock production, it is indeed a lucrative business. And we need to see it as at the more, and it's a hands-on job or field. It's really hands-on for you to really, the more time you spend with your animals on your farm, the better you're able to spend time to keep the same records that we've been talking about. You
Yeah.
monitor their behavior, you monitor their eating habits, so it's really hands-on. We want them to be full-time. I know a lot of farmers might have maybe 5 or 10, relatively small scale, but I am sure with good management practices, you'll be able to move from small to medium and then eventually to large, right? Providing that there's a market for, and there is the demand for meat or protein, basically red meat consumption. So the more readily available we have medium and large scale farms to produce that, or to meet the demand of our consumers, again, farmers are going to reap the benefits from their hard work, from doing it, like really devoting enough time and effort into it, to taking the record, they were keeping records. And yes, I agree that there is research can also help us with that, because with research, you're able to figure out like what is the new recommendations for feeding, or what's trending, or what is something new, because that's literally how production or commercial production is guided in New Zealand. It's based on the research done in the universities and the governments and the universities. That's where when money goes into research, because they know in the long run, farmers are going to then change their management practices to facilitate the new research, or to adopt the new research that has been produced. And then in the long run, they're going to have uh, high yields in whether it's meat or milk. And then for them, they export heavily as well. So again, it ties in, and the country benefits from the research, from the farmers adhering to these practices, and meeting the demands in the market.
Wow, that's a lot. That's
Yeah.
you just unloaded on the sector right there.
Yeah.
Um, I agree with you because at the end of the day, research if research is not done, then we can't improve. We have to
Right.
know what's working, what's not working. And
Correct.
if especially in the region, if these government entities or corporate entities don't take the research and development seriously, then we won't be a major player when it comes to livestock farming.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe because I don't know if they're happy with what they're doing, what the revenue at
We
this
can't
point.
be
But
happy with
we,
it. I
we,
mean, the import bills in each country is really too high, So we would strive, or our goal would be to have livestock production meet a mere percentage of that demand.
okay, let me give you an example.
Hmm.
In Jamaica, and every Jamaican that is on this can attest to this. We've been eating curry goat forever. Like, there's no party, dance, wedding, whatever that doesn't have curry goat, right?
Right.
And I'm
Hmm.
guarantee you right now that there is no report or research that says when is the best time to butcher a goat for the best curry goat dish. I can tell you
My
right now,
question,
there's
no,
no
but you know what
research
I
that
wanted
tells
to
that.
ask you? What I wanted to ask you, as you said that, is it imported goat, or is it local goat that is locally produced? Do you know? You would
Um,
hope it's local, right?
it's not local. Most of it is not local. It's pretty obvious that we know for a fact that they import something like 4 million US dollars worth of meat every year.
Right.
Of whether
So,
it's wild goat from New Zealand or Australia, or it's sheep that they call mutton and sell it to thing that people buy it in the store and think it's goat. Because
right,
Jamaicans used to call goat meat mutton. I think
right. It's
they think it's
chevron.
just from the old thing they call it mutton.
Yeah.
So they
So
go
sheep
after
is
mutton.
mutton and goat is chevron. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but to go to show you that the agricultural department, the the culinary department or sector in Jamaica, none of them have thought of saying, okay, let's figure out what age
Hmm.
should the goat be butchered to get the best result in a curry goat dish.
Because let's say, given that curry goat is such an important delicacy in Jamaica, that there you see an opportunity for that market where you can, I mean, just as branding in Jamaica is important, just as how you look at music and
Yeah,
culture and all these different icons. But in terms of food, I mean, you hear about jerk, you hear about ackee and saltfish, but then curry goat as well has a part to play in terms of how which would then create a whole heap of opportunities for goat farmers, for them to know that there's
exactly.
readily available this market that is really, it encourages them to really adhere to these management practices and want to produce more,
Yes.
because in the long run they're going to reap from it.
Yeah, it's
So,
it boggles the mind, but it is our reality, and I'm hoping that this new generation of young farmers, will
mhm.
take the information like this that you're offering up, the platform that we provide for to bring people on every week to speak on these things, that they will take this information and either push their leaders, push their government leaders to get involved, like invest some money in this. Revamp bottles, put some money into Cardi. Let's get some results. Let's find out if this guango tree that I have in front of my farm, if the leaves are that good and what I could do with them to feed my animals. Let's get some answers to these things, not old farmer's tale of saying,
Hmm.
yo, don't cut the wood when sun and moon are shine, or don't this and don't that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Wait till
Yeah,
whatever
because there's a
answer.
reason in the commercial scale, there's a reason for doing everything. And
Exactly.
most times the reasons is to reap more money, to get more
It's to
money.
get, yeah, at the end
You
of the day,
understand?
it's
It's to
everything
get
they
more
do
money.
is how it affects the bottom line. And even on our farm, we tell the guys all the time, I'm like, everything we do, there's a science to everything. Everything costs money. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
bottom line to everything.
Yeah.
everything we do, we have to do it in a way to think about the bottom line. And farmers, I mean, the new farmers, I know they're all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
they
so
don't
if it
care.
is we determine that, let's say within 6 to 8 months you get a kid to the market weight and you're able to get a good carcass weight and get a lot of money, as opposed to keeping them for a year, because within that 6 to 8 months and a year, that's 3 extra months that you're feeding or spending money on feed. That's not really necessary, because as the older the animals get, the fiber content in the meat increases, the quality of the meat decreases, and then the market might not necessarily accept it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
in
but
some
there's
instances,
a whole other sector in Jamaica when it comes to goats. You know, there's a whole different market called the show goat market,
oh,
where
okay. Right.
people buy, I mean, purebred and full blood animals to take to Denby, the largest agricultural show in the Caribbean. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Denby, people really love going to Denby and showing goats. And people love having long-eared goats and red-head goats, right?
So,
Boer
so
and
that's
red-head.
basically, would you say that show basically showcases the phenotype of the different breeds?
Yes, that's all. It's
But
all about how
but
the animal look. They don't care if the animal can produce an ounce of milk. It's all about
well, this is what I
how
was
the
now
animal.
asking you. Like, can you tell me, yes, it looked good, but what about the milk production, the meat
They don't
production?
care.
Do
No,
they
they don't
tell?
care. They actually breed that out. They breed
Okay.
for these breeders,
But
and I
look,
know I'm gonna get a lot of flack on this, but really I don't care. They're breeding out the actual physical, they're breeding out the productive side of the animals,
mm,
especially Nubians. They look more for the Roman, the long back, the tall legs, the whatever, and don't care about the other, and don't care about how much milk this animal is producing. You know,
mm,
and
okay.
seriously, it's an issue because people like us who are looking for dairy animals, like Dr. Young, who are looking for dairy animals, they're not doing the yield they should because people breed them out. They don't breed for that trait. They breed for the Roman, for the tallness, the long back, the everything, the long ears, the
Well,
and
in
because they don't do good
uh
record keeping, nobody really knows who's a good milk producer. You have to do it by you have to
right.
figure it out by you. Yeah,
Well, I mean, in
seriously.
all fairness, if there's a market for that, let's say show goat, uh, and that's what some farmers want to produce for, then uh, it's okay, I guess. But again,
No,
it
it is
doesn't
okay.
address the
It is okay for me. I
uh,
think everybody is a place for everybody, right?
right.
But if we don't educate young farmers that hey,
Hmm.
not everybody has to be a show goat breeder. Like
Okay.
there's way more money in
And they true,
in
because not every
yeah
yeah,
in
not everybody's gonna be successful at those agricultural meets to win a
exactly.
prize for a prize animals. I get you, but there's
Yeah,
more benefit in
and
actually
it's way
producing
more
animals.
costly, to be a stock breeder and show goat breeder.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because these animals have to be in a certain
Tip
level
top
of
shape
shape.
year round. So
Yeah,
the
year
care, the
round.
feeding, the nutrition.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the expense and time you spend on one or two animals to get them to that show good status. You could spend it on a 20 or 10 animals to get them to
Exactly.
market weight. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the type of animals that you need to go to show is twice the price of a hybrid, what we call graded animal, that can give you this great yield on meat and
Okay.
great yield on milk. You know what I mean? You got to pay sometimes triple the price for a purebred or a full blood animal. You know,
Okay.
and it's crazy. Like I know TJ Terrence John, a friend of mine, told me he had graded animals that were giving him way more milk than his purebred Nubians. Which is like,
Mhm.
okay, so what's the purpose of the purebred Nubian? They're just there for show.
So my thing is, as a farmer, what would you recommend in terms of to addressing the need for record keeping? What do you
Hey,
think
I've been
farmers, the
I've been a
average farmer?
champion of record keeping from we started. Like I've been telling
Okay.
people, record keeping, because for us, record keeping changes everything when it comes to assessing our operation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're never out like off on a birth date more than a week. That's how close attention we pay to breeding when it comes to pasture management, when it comes to birth weight, weaning weight, daily gains. We keep track of all of that. And
Right.
that's what I can tell my improvement since last year, since we started
So
breeding
what
and killing.
medium do you use to keep the records? What form?
Excel form, Excel sheet. I created
Okay.
a Excel book, I call it, that
Yeah.
tells me the number of
Everything.
animals in our herd. It tells us we have a breeding record, a breeding registry, and a kidding registry. And the kidding registry is it tells us how productive the mothers are at the end of the year, during the year, and what their the weaning weight that they're doing, the birth weight that the mothers are doing. That's separate from the kid. Like if I put the mother's tag number in, she'll tell
Mhm.
me how many kids she had that year, what was the average birth weight, what is the average weaning weight, whether it's how many females she had, how many males she had. And I can look through that at the end of the year and tell me which animal
And
is
choose
not
your
producing.
progeny.
Yeah, which animal is
Yeah.
not producing, which animal is just sitting there getting fat. I can get rid of her. Or I can find out
Mm-hmm.
which animals are super producers. And
Right.
that same sheet will tell me what the bucks are doing. It will tell me, like, Joe was like a massive. We had this one buck called Joe, which is our first buck on the farm, and he's a super buck. We had to get rid of him because he did his time. But the person who
Mm-hmm.
has Joe right now, he better know what he has, because Joe is a very productive animal.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
you know that's the other problem we have where very often farmers just exchange animals, or the box, they just
yeah,
send them down to, in a short space of time. But they don't even keep them for the 2 to 4 years or even for a year, and they just move them around. But what is your reason for moving them around? It's because most times it's because they like how it look and they want our offspring from it. But it's like it's not because this animal is gonna give me good meat yield or milk. And that's a kind of unfortunate decision in the sense that you kind of lose your genetics when you have an animal that gives you good productivity in terms of the productive parameters, and then you don't use them appropriately. You lose the quality of the animal when you don't breed them or manage them as you should, because you just mix them, anyhow.
yeah. Well, you know what I mean. I think selecting, if you have 2, 3 bucks on your farm, selecting with what buck goes with what doe is an art form on the farm. Like there's people I know that has that eye on what that a buck will do on a certain doe to get the
Right.
certain result that they're looking for. But for me, I'm only looking for two things. I'm looking for better milk and faster daily gains. That's all
Okay.
I'm looking for, you know. And
Okay.
other people are looking for, how the animal look, and I don't care. If the animal got 3 feet and giving me 2 liter milk, I'll put a stump on that half a feet and keep getting the 3 liter milk. It's like it's that's what that for me that's what production is. That's not how an animal is productive. I don't, I'm not
Right.
into the show go business, which is a whole different business, but I don't see it as a business that can sustain the long haul on that level,
Okay.
you know,
Right.
because the Jamaica market is too small for me to have, 1,000 full blood Boer bucks that is just stock animals.
Yeah.
I have to,
You don't need
they're
that
gonna have to
many.
get,
You
yeah,
don't
they're
need
gonna
that
have to go
many.
into the pot,
Yeah.
you know.
Which another factor which comes in terms of conservation, yeah. So even if you have these prize buck, like say that buck you had, I can't remember the name,
Joe,
but
yeah,
Joe, did you collect semen from Joe or
No,
collect embryos?
Joe was a 50-50 buck. He's still, I know where he is. I should actually. So, but
Right.
here's the thing: in Jamaica, people are like, yo, you don't need to collect semen from somebody like Joe. But now that you mention it, how
Yeah,
productive Joe was, and the average weaning weight that Joe had,
Joe, you
I
right.
think Joe would be a really good buck to. His semen would be a good buck to keep.
So
TJ,
so
I'm
this
gonna
this is the
tell you that.
thing. Right.
Yeah,
No,
I
but this
think Joe would be a really good because he was a perfect cross of a Nubian and a Boer,
right.
and yeah, he's a
So,
nice
so
buck.
that's the thing. In this instance, with good records, especially that what you have for Joe, it would be useful to collect semen and embryos from him because even if, and that's the thing they have in New Zealand, when you look at your breeding registry and your catalog of semen, is rams that are no longer walking the face of the earth, but they still have semen from them. Because later, next 10, 20 years, you might want another Joe Jr., you know? I'm just saying. So
Yeah,
collecting semen,
no, you're making me
collecting
feel like
semen.
I shouldn't have sold Joe
You should go back for
because
Joe.
we no, yeah, yeah, tears were shed on this farm when Joe was leaving. Everybody was upset and crying, but he done his
Yeah.
time. But yeah, and at one
So that's
point I
another
said,
that's
Joe,
another aspect we need to incorporate here for honors, like have our own breeding registry. So this thing where we kind of tend to look outside for semen or importing semen, we really don't need to, because if we have prized animals here that are already adapted to our climatic conditions, our nutrition, our everything here, they're performing well, they're giving us good meat and milk. What we don't need to look outside for anything. So collecting semen and conserving the diversity of the animals that we have here is another thing, and managing properly is where we keep that the genetic qualities. We will be able to keep them. So I think it would be good, look into that, conserve Joe's heritage, basically.
Yeah, I'm there, and he's pretty close to the research center now. His new
Right.
home is pretty close to Bodles, so
Mhm.
I should actually make arrangement for them to get some semen
And
off
You,
of him.
you store it, yeah, you store. So animals that you know are producing well, you store some embryos, you store semen. Yep, that's what
Dr.
they do
Patrick,
because
why you putting my business out in the streets?
yeah,
Because
because like
okay,
I said,
everybody wants to know why Joe is named Joe. We had two bucks. Our first two bucks on the farm. One was a Nubian, spotted Nubian. He wasn't the best conformed buck. He wasn't the best in when it comes to physical stature, but whatever. And then there's
someone
Joe.
wants a picture of Joe.
So
You're gonna post
oh
a
yeah,
picture later,
yeah, he's on our Facebook. We'll post more pictures of him. But
right?
there's Joe, and then there is the spotted buck called Grind.
Joe Grinds.
There you go. And that
Okay.
says it all. That says it all you need to know. So those two guys were, as their names say, that's what they do on this farm.
Okay,
That's
getcha,
what
I getcha. So
that
that's
was their
good. So then
job.
it sounds that, they would meet the requirements for good sire selection in terms of
Yes,
the reproduction soundness, the structural soundness, and then they have good genetic potential. So that's good. Because like I said, remember in New Zealand, they use mostly natural service and they would only go to AI when they really want to check the history or some catalog to pull semen from a sire that they knew gave them a certain meat yield or milk yield. That's when they go back to look for the
mm.
semen, and that's when they reintroduce it into their flocks. Understand? So
Yeah.
we
So I
need to start
definitely
conserving
should
what we
get.
have here.
I should get semen from Joe and keep it because he what he was throwing was like special. And it doesn't matter what
Hmm.
female you put him on, his weaning weight average is always up there. His growth rate is always up there. And yeah, so I definitely that's a good idea. Thanks for for giving me that suggestion.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking about culling strategies.
Culling.
Culling strategies.
Okay, so yeah, there's a question about culling strategy. What is your suggestion for culling your culling strategy.
Hold on, for culling animals? I
Yeah.
didn't. Oh gosh, that's now. Is it they're asking like the age or like for the methods?
No, like the method, like yeah, what are the criteria for culling? Like, how do you decide who gets culled?
How do you decide which animals you cull
Yeah.
for meat?
Yes. Or meat or milk or whatever. What do you look for in to say, okay, that animal's not good? I know what I look for in my operation when it comes
Okay,
to culling.
okay. So it's like when is best to when you recommend culling an animal basically? Well, there are
Yeah.
several factors. Again, which you records your productive parameters. So one such thing is like say for females, in a large scale or commercial production system, you don't want animals to really have dystopias or need a C-section. So New Zealand is strict like that, where if a mother is not able to give birth naturally, and mother them properly, because it costs them to call a vet to do C-section, so they would not want to breed that animal again. They want animals to really be uh, sufficient and just produce. So that's one factor. Another thing would be your ram. If your ram is injured or not showing good vigor in terms of when your animals are in heat, he's not really interested in them. You get rid of him. He's not serving the purpose he was supposed to serve. When your animals reach their desired market weight, that's another time you should cull them so that you could get more money, the most money that you could get on the market for their carcass weights. And just generally animals that are non-productive. So for young animals, sometimes farmers complain, like, Doc, I have this young sheep or young goat that is not coming into heat. I don't know, one, it could be that you're not feeding it properly, on it could be some other reason. So that is, at the same time, that could be a reason where if an animal is not producing or the way you want it to, why keep them around? You should cull them and keep it pushing. So that's the thing with production, is like if you're not producing, you don't spend or waste more time and money keeping animals around, because you really want to run a tight production system based on your inputs. So I hope
Yeah,
that answers it.
we based our culling process on productivity. I know
Mm-hmm.
we got one female that's on her second round of single kid.
Right.
She have one more shot.
Mm-hmm.
If she still give me
And
if she
and
give
that's
me a
the thing,
single kid,
records. Yeah,
yeah, if she give me a
records would
single
tell
kid
you that.
again, that kid better
Mhm.
be a super kid, or else
Yeah,
she's
so
getting called.
so because like say in New Zealand, they look at your ovulation rate and even your lambing percentage.
Hmm.
So in terms of our age, like I think they would say, and depending on your body condition and everything, within sometimes, according to the breed, maybe 3 to 5 years is where you get maximum productivity out of a female. So, after a certain age, it decreases. So that is your time to say, okay, like what you just said, I had enough, she's one more chance and then that's it. Like you need to, and you could only tell that if you keep good records on what your animals are doing, and making sure that they're producing consistently, not just one. And for them, it's seasonal, but for us, we are able to perhaps do it every, maybe we say like, 1.5 in the year. But for when we select our breeding season or when we want to breed animals, you want them to give you multiples and you breed for multiples. And so you might tend to send the ones that are giving you singles to market, because you reach a point where you're just behind twins and triplets, you
Yes.
know? Um, so depending on your records and what you're after, your production records, that's the best
Um.
factor. Mhm.
So let me ask you a question. Do you find in the region in the Caribbean, right? Like
Uh-huh.
I know people, we could get a female to do three kidding in 2 years.
Say that again?
Based up, you, three kidding in 2 years.
2 years. Right.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So that's is that as productive as it will get for our region? Because we don't really do seasonal breeding, right? These
Right.
animals can breed year round.
Right. So that's the thing. It's not seasonal, but I know in some countries they would do it depending on, well, fine, when you get rainy season versus dry season, you would know when you wouldn't want to have, especially in a pasture system, you wouldn't want to have necessarily have like young lambs in muddy or muddy pastures per se, depending on how your farm is set up. So I
Yeah.
know farmers would make those decisions based on the availability of feed, the availability of forages, when you would want your young animals to be born as a big deciding factor. Um, so yeah, I would think to actually, if you really get 3 in 2 years, then that's great. Some farmers kind of just do one as if they're in the four seasons, temperate climate, which is bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
That's what I'm shooting for, to have as many females doing 3 kidding in 2 years.
hmm
Because that's
Because you see, the thing is, you want to increase the productive days of your animals, which is why I started by saying, if you have a young animal that's open, you breed her, you get a lamb, and you wean that lamb. After weaning, or sometimes, if depending on what age you separate the lamb from the mother, on one hand, you're gonna send the lamb off to be fed to reach market weight. On the other hand, now you are now helping this mother regain her condition to breed her again. Right? She shouldn't be sitting around for 2, 3 months doing nothing, just eating food every day. Understand? You want to increase the productive days. Another thing that would help is sometimes if you um with the batch when you breed them in groups and say
yes.
you synchronize them, and then you do early pregnancy detection, so right away you know who have singles, who have twins, or who have triplets. And then because the nutritional requirements is different, a mother that's carrying twins would need a higher plane of nutrition than one that's carrying singles, and one that has triplets would need more than twins. um, so that is another important factor that farmers need to be able to figure out. And so when you determine early that an animal is pregnant or not, and you feed them appropriately, then you're guaranteed to get good lamb birth weights and you get your offspring. But if you mate them in a group, and then the only way you would know they're pregnant is when they perhaps 3, 4 months, by just guesstimate, because you see the others now start to develop. Or what if you wait until 3, 4 months and no other development? That's 3, 4 months you spent feeding them with your fancy concentrates, and the animal was open all the time, right? So early pregnancy detection is very important in really
Naomi,
increasing and keeping.
you're dropping shades on the concentrate people.
Yeah, so
Shade.
it's really important in
So okay, so what's the
increasing the
earliest we can
productive
do
days.
pregnancy tests to get a result?
I would say like with 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks after 6 weeks after
After after
mating.
after breeding, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we were told 32 days or something.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, like a month. It
Mm-hmm.
depends on the how skilled the clinician is as well, you know. You could detect it within a month, and even the breed of the animals, and yeah.
All right. Um, Before we start getting all these questions answered, we have another, what, 20 minutes left?
Dr. Patrick said
Okay.
42.
Dr. Patrick said 42 days. Well, Dr.
Right.
Patrick, we got people doing it at 32, so they better get their act together.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm getting some false negatives. Um, so let's do the top five profitable management practices. What would be your top five? We went
What do you
over.
think? Uh-huh.
I think we went over the five, but
I
if you
know,
want
but
to do
let
a
me ask
recap.
you, based on our discussion, what do you think is gonna be my number one?
I think your number one is gonna be proper nutrition.
I had record keeping. Record
What?
keeping as number one. Record keeping as
What?
number one. Yeah,
Really?
record keeping as number one because that's something like, some farmers just do not bother do it, they just can't bother, right? And then I
Right.
had nutrition because that really influences how the physiological stages.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had reproduction. You want to do good selection and natural services is fine once done properly. Fourth, I had housing and welfare in
Okay.
the sense that you want animals to be comfortable to eat or consume the daily requirements to, well, in the sense that not being too exposed to the elements, provide shelter, provide enough feed, provide enough water. You want them to be happy. You want them to be comfortable, basically. So I had housing and welfare because very often I think that's something that's overlooked in the sense that, like, say, these tying animals on the roadsides all day in the hot sun without one drop of water that is not really a good thing. And then finally I had marketing, where if
Yeah.
we really knew the value of the animals that we had or have, sorry, and the demands, like exactly what the market required, then we would be encouraged to produce and slaughter on time to meet the demands of the market. And then how we package it, so basically even to export, rather than always importing, we could export. Imagine goats from Jamaica or locally produced goat from Jamaica, the kind of what is it? It would be appreciated in the international markets, since that people know Jamaicans and curry go hand in hand. So the final thing I think would be marking and also just adding value to the production systems. Not just fresh meat, but sausages, milk, everything else.
Yeah,
Uh,
Trudy's over here smiling because, we've been eating purebred burger, goat burger,
uh-huh.
sausage,
Lasagna.
lasagna, what do you got? What else? Gelatos,
Yeah.
goat and milk gelatos.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm?
Dr. Young made
Then
gelato.
Dr. Young actually made some gelato the other day from her milk production. So,
Right. And I know
we're gonna
that
keep.
yogurt is a big thing now as well. Yep. And cheese,
Yeah, we're gonna
so.
keep putting it out there. I think the
Mhm.
biggest. I am assuming that the biggest goat dairy production facility in Jamaica would be Ruby Goat Farm, right? Ruby Dairy Goat.
Or Dr. Young.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know if Dr. Young surpassed them, but I guess they're the most active in the marketplace when it comes to marketing their product, and they do quite a
Yeah.
few that they do, like cheese and all this other stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but we're
Yeah. So
looking at we're looking at all of it: the lotion, the soap, the dishwashing liquid, the everything.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. I think marketing is the key to getting
Hmm.
people to accept or convert to goat products.
Yeah, because at the same time, remember, you wanna enlighten consumers on this home farm, like farm to table concept, right? And like my top two, records and nutrition. Because yes, we want to incorporate good genetics via these assistant breeding techniques, but you really ought not to be putting semen and embryos into animals that you really don't know the production history. You
Yes.
understand? Yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
it starts there.
let's take some questions to round off the next 20 minutes. Anybody
Okay.
have any tough questions for Naomi, Dr. Winchester? Please bring it on. We got 15 minutes or 20 minutes to of our time left.
Okay.
And if you asked question earlier and didn't get your answer, please repost it.
Okay.
Um,
Check that.
I'm checking to see if I see anything.
Okay.
Mr. Neil Shan said, due to the fact we don't have registry in place, importing semen is important. I don't really agree. I'll pin it so you
No.
can see it. I can pin it so you can see the question. That question right there.
Okay, let me see. We don't. Well, which is why I said, or I suggested that you go and get Joe and collect his semen and start your own registry. You understand?
Yeah.
We have to start it. You start your own registry, and depending on how you manage your animals, you could then have access to that semen next 5 years, next 10 years, and you keep his good productive parameters within your herd,
Yeah.
right? So
See, that's
if
an
you keep
approach that
records,
yeah, that's an
yeah, if
approach that
you
I
keep
see people
records,
don't
then
take.
you wouldn't inbreed as well. You understand? If you know which buck you place with these does and the offspring, you wouldn't inbreed. And nothing is wrong with importing. It's just that my thing on importing semen, remember those animals out there are already, what they say, acclimatized to the feeds out there, the climate out there, and then we now have to spend more time and effort and money really getting them to produce hair, right? You
Yeah.
kind of, you tend to probably spend more attention on them because you already, it's quite an investment, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the offspring is what you would have that would be acclimatized to the tropical conditions. But it's only if you're doing it for based on the genetic potential. Am I getting twins or triplets from this semen? And the meat and the milk yield based on the genetic potential. That is the reason why you would incorporate that into your herd. Not for numbers. It shouldn't be just for numbers, but what the numbers can do for you.
Okay.
Your
So is silver pastoral system practiced in New Zealand? And what difference in production compared to open field grazing?
I think it's more open field. More, oh gosh. Yeah, hold on, more. What is the difference? It's more open field grazing. And a lot of their forages are like grass type forages. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they do the same for their beef production systems as well. Do they practice forward grazing on lambs in New Zealand? Hold on. No New Zealand will have. Is that a question from uh, are you seeing okay.
Do they practice grazing, forward grazing of the lambs in New Zealand? I don't know what that means.
That's what I was wondering. But what I would say to that is remember with when you have the mothers with the lambs, providing that they have a good body condition score, they have good milk yield and colostrum production. And like I said, lactation peaks within 2 to 4 weeks, and after that is it's gonna decline.
Yeah.
So at that time, sometimes they would wean or remove lambs within that or after that peak lactation, peak milk production. They would remove them and then put them on pastures that would
And that's what,
still. Mhm.
do they win at 90 days or do they win at 60 days?
They do 90, but in some instances they would do before 90 because they don't want the mothers to lose too much condition because they want to breed them soon after or breed them right after. They would remove the lambs early and
Okay, so
and and just finish them. So
we have a
finishing
question
lambs
from
is a big
Facebook.
thing.
Go ahead. We have a
Finish.
question from Facebook Live.
Uh-huh.
Terrence Charles, he wants to know your opinion on the economics and logistic of hay production for small ruminants in the Caribbean. And TJ, she's from Tobago. I think he was asking. He said he missed where you're from. Yes, so
Okay.
that's a Facebook Live question. You can't see that one, but so he wants to know your opinion on the economics or logistic of hay production for small ruminants in the
On
Caribbean.
K production.
Hay production.
Okay.
HAY. My
Oh,
pronunciation may be bad because I'm Jamaican.
no, I get it. I know the H is silent, but I get it. Um, so because, or let's say our seasons are a rainy season, a dry season, and in the rainy season we tend to have a surplus of forages. I would encourage what do you say, conserved forages, which is hay production or even silage production, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so so with conserving the surplus of forages that we get during the rainy season, so then in the dry season you have access to forages that can be used to feed animals rather than um supplementing basically.
So, but you're talking about silage or hay storage. But remember,
Because
most
they're both
farmers in
types of conserved forages,
yeah, most farmers don't have access to land to grow hay and all that stuff.
right?
So,
That's
do you
true.
think the production of hay by large farmers or feed production companies subsidizing hay production will that be an
Mm-hmm.
economic viable
Definitely.
initiative?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Absolutely.
Okay,
I
there
think
you go.
farmers,
It
because
would really benefit.
I think it should be cheaper than concentrates. You understand? It should be
How would
cheaper.
it be cheaper though? Why would
And
because
so,
it isn't hay more labor intensive or to produce?
but then when you look at the cost of the raw materials or the bringing in concentrates, that cost, that to bring in the raw materials to make them. But
Okay.
okay, this is the opportunity to just do a feasibility study, do a pilot project, look at the time factor, make some, look at the time it takes to make some, look at how the animals, most importantly, how the animals accept it, if they're eating it readily or they don't like it, and how they're performing on it. That's the other thing you need to look at. How are the animals performing with this new diet? Any new feed you want to introduce to animals, you want to really look at their performance on it to know if you would want to continue feeding.
I think Dr. Patrick explaining the forward grazing.
Before what?
Yeah, he
One group
says
of
one group
animals.
of animal on a paddock followed by another. Um, yeah.
No. So, okay, in my experience, I would say no, because they have different paddocks, and they do the rotational grazing, but not necessarily, from what he's saying, not really one group followed by another, because they would give they would rest the paddocks, and then at the end of the entire year they would really like plow and plant over the forages again in preparation for the next year.
Okay, got it. Um, for us, we only have the cows following the goats, so we don't worry about that. Goats always get fresh pasture every day, all
Hmm.
day. We don't do what do you call it? Forward grazing. No, we
Hmm.
don't do that. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. TMR to include silage is the way out. I think they.
Hmm.
Do you see
Okay.
this question? This comment?
Yeah, I agree. Hold on. Yeah, because molasses is a hard, expensive byproduct, or should be used, made available, since molasses is hard to come by.
Yeah, well, there's an inoculant that I see um, Khalil them use, but it's imported and it's expensive.
Okay, it's more expensive than molasses?
It's more expensive than molasses because the initial way they did it with us was molasses and urea, right? But
Okay,
then there's a new way with an inoculant, but it's expensive to
it's
import, I think.
expensive as well in terms of silage
Yeah,
production.
yeah, for it to make financial sense doing silage. It's
What
but
about, do you all do multi-nutritional blocks, like like how you have the salt blocks that
mhm.
animals would, do you all make those? Because that's another, the
I've never
supplement.
made it. I've seen it on. on YouTube, but I've never tried it on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Because
think
that's
something I should try one time.
okay.
I'll get Khalil, which is the master at nutrition and the different percentage of things that needs to be in. I'll have him do a class on the farm and see how
Okay.
it works out. Because I think it's something that can be helpful to farmers if they can make their own these blocks. Then it will be really helpful.
Okay.
What else? Any other questions, folks? We got 5 minutes left.
Okay. Well, since we're winding down, I guess at this point I could say thanks for having me. You know, when O'Shane called,
You're
uh, it's really
you're
nice, and I
welcome
and I
to come back anytime.
yeah. So I actually want to commend you for just having this platform of informing farmers. That's so comfortable, like a comfortable learning environment for farmers, because these kind of discussions are quite necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very nice for you to really initiate this forum. Seeing a
Yeah,
question,
we're trying to give farmers direct access to information,
right?
and they can ask the question themselves and if they can challenge the information if they feel like doing it, because people have their own way of doing things and been told for years how to do things, and we're just trying to get them informed that hey, there may be a different way, a more efficient way, a more productive way of doing it, and that's what we're about. So we want to thank you and appreciate you taking the time on a Saturday evening to do
Mhm.
this. This is prime date time, so I understand how it goes. Although I don't know if you guys are under quarantine like we are,
We're under
but
lockdown actually.
you
So
are?
yeah. We're under
Oh,
lockdown like over a month now again. Yeah. So
yeah,
isn't much.
we've been on 8 p.m. curfew for the last 2 weeks, right? Since the
Okay.
general election. So I think it ends next week or something, but yeah, I don't know when this whole thing is gonna end, but for the time being, we're just gonna keep moving along, keep educating, keep
Absolutely.
providing
Yeah.
information.
Adjusting to the new norms, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will be in touch and definitely bring you back in the near future for another topic that you may be interested in. And folks, don't forget, Farmer to Farmer has a training next Wednesday on Zoom, and I think they just posted that link. And
Okay.
I participated in the one last Wednesday, and it's really good. And Khalil is part of it, and the doctor from Puerto Rico. So you guys should check it out if you have the time. I know it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you
Okay.
have the time, you can check it out. And information, power, knowledge is power. If you have the time, check it out. And thank
Okay.
you again, Nyoni, Dr. Winchester. Thanks for your
My
time.
pleasure.
And everybody, thanks for participating. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
And on Facebook, thanks, guys, for joining on Facebook as well. And now I will cheer you guys with the last little bit of wine that's left to me, guys. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers. Cheers. Yeah. Keep on keeping
Thanks.
on.
Okay, thanks again, Naomi. We'll talk soon, okay?
My pleasure. All right. Take care. Keep
Yeah,
safe, everyone. Bye.